I had no idea what we're going to talk about, Doug.
This is your show.
Is it? It's the People's Show. It's the People's Show.
And that's why it's called the People's Show? It's the Make It Happen podcast.
Is it? Do you want to do the intro?
Welcome to the Make It Happen podcast with your host, Michael.
You know my last name.
I did, but sorry, I'm a little throaty.
It's all good.
Welcome to the Make It Happen podcast with your host, Michael Vanderpool, and today's guest, Doug Hinebaugh, also known as the Dougie Fresh.
You know what's hilarious is part of my shtick is I mess up people's name at the beginning, or I don't know their title or something. So like you did it perfectly. You're perfect, Doug.
I say it enough that it becomes second nature. And I don't know, it used to be funny when people would ask me to do some public speaking or ask me to come out in front of a group, and yeah, everybody's got that nervous stuff. I remember taking interpersonal communications at Bowling Green State University in 1995, and even just doing speeches in our small classes, that was a lot, but something's changed and I've gotten good at it, and I think a lot of it is just knowing who I am and what I'm talking about, and I believe in it, so I don't feel like I have to come up with a whole list of buzzwords or a way to sell people. I think I can just talk naturally about what I'm passionate about, and the rest kind of takes care of itself because it's true.
Being authentic.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
That's the word, man.
You just show up and you're you.
You got to show up though. I mean, there's a lot of different keys to success, and showing up is, I tell people all the time, like we did that Weathering Homelessness, so it was a volunteer event. I've been on the editorial committee for Toledo Streets newspaper for 4 years now, a little over 4 years. And that's something I had, for a lot of reasons, wanted to help out with homeless people and just disadvantaged people in general, help people get a leg up and find the people that want to help themselves. So I've been in this world with social services and, where I'm around a lot of these people, and some people are, coming in and out of homelessness. It's not always their normal, but some people really don't have any other way to get out, and that's giving them away. But just from being a photographer and being exposed to this, I had all these opportunities like that floating around me, and I had to show up. I had to show up to an editorial committee meeting, and here I am years later, I still keep going. And this was at the end of November last year. There was a homeless gentleman in Toledo who passed away outdoors, and it was freezing cold. The way the government has worked the last couple of years, a lot of funding has dried up for social services, or it was taken away and they had to reapply for the same thing, jump through some different hoops for, new people running things. And it's left some gaps. And then couple that with one of the hardest winters Toledo's had in a decade, and there were a lot of nights that warming centers were needed, just some place where people could go get off the streets so that they didn't die from exposure. It doesn't take very long for hypothermia to set in. When this gentleman died, I noticed on Facebook the next couple of days that people were upset, and they were directing a lot of their anger and their ire towards the social services people, saying, why didn't you do something? Why didn't this man have somewhere to go? There's always three sides to every story, but one of the sides was this gentleman did have places to go and he chose not to, and that's a sad reality of a lot of this. And, nobody wanted that for him, but he kind of went out on his own terms, and we wish it would have been less tragic. For the people like him that don't have that, they do have a place to go. And through all of these things that have made it really hard to keep warming centers open and have condensed them from multiple locations to just a few like St. Paul's, they still have run and they haven't had to turn anybody away. So people needed to know this. And there were a lot of people that, maybe they weren't angry at social services people, but they were saying, I wish I knew how to help.
Yeah.
And just show up. They got to have something to show up to. So that's where I stepped up, and I reached out to my friend Michael Vanderpool. He works for Ohio Jobs and Family Services. He also went through the Leadership Toledo Signature Program with me. Great friend, same as his husband. It's just good people. And he was the first person I thought to reach out to because he knows everybody. He is kind of he straddles a lot of the different social services. And I told him what my frustration was. And I said, what can we do? Can we get something together where we can provide some volunteer opportunities for people, those people that said, I want to help, but I don't know how. Can we give them a place for them to show up?
Mm-hmm.
And so it took us months to put it together, but we rounded in Cherry Street Mission, we rounded in United Way and 2-on-1, their program for people to call, for anybody to call if they want to get started with social services, or if they need some, psychological help, if they need, a place to go, if they need domestic violence help, 2-on-1 is just a good place to start. And so we got all of these groups together, and the Metro Park said, yeah, we've got a space for you to host an event. And the Hilton's downtown and their Chef Alex over there at Assembly Restaurant said, I'll provide food for your guests. So we ended up having 65 people. People came out, they showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all kinds of volunteer opportunities. A lot of people got to meet people. There were new ideas that were hatched in that room. There were new relationships that were made, and there's effort that's going to come from that. So as now we're moving into the summer months, and cooling centers are going to be a thing,
Mm-hmm.
For those nights where it's not going to drop below 90. I mean, for people that, have limited health or that have spent a lot of time out on the street, that's something that could take them out just the same as the cold.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to have something going the opposite way. So getting people involved in this world, understanding that it's not hard. I went and volunteered at Warming Center myself, and it's not hard. But these people, they need to know that you're there. They want to see that people are showing up. And when they do, then they're going to start to believe in something. They're going to start to believe in what else is being offered to them there, whether it's knowledge, whether it's resources. And that's what it's going to take to get a couple of them to say, hey, I want to take the next step. And a week later, you might be at one of those warming centers and that person didn't show up and you didn't read anything bad about them in the paper. Yeah, there's some optimism there, man. Maybe they're out doing something good and they don't need the services anymore. And that's a win.
What's awesome is where we're at in Toledo, and we're here today at the Loft 419, used to be the Toledo Tech Loft, going through a little bit of rebranding, same place, same vibe. Same stuff going on with cool people doing cool things like yourself. You are, and we just witnessed it, you're dialed in, bro. You're dialed in though because you're active and participating and seeking all these things out, right? So how did you get started as a photographer in Toledo? Because you're doing stuff for Toledo.com, you're doing stuff for almost every single freaking event that's happening. You're the dude, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Organically and faster than I could imagine, but I didn't know, I had nothing to put context to it. So I moved away from Toledo in 2007. I was 30 years old. I'd spent, my life here. I went to Perrysburg High School, but spent my 20, what I consider my formative adult years, 20 to 30, living in the old West End and being a part of Toledo. And I was part of the rave scene, being involved in Techledo. There's a natural, origin story to all of that. But that was the type of stuff I did. But, because of my drinking, and I make it real known about, my journey with alcoholism. And I wasn't satisfied with Toledo, and I left thinking anywhere's got to be better than here. And I went to Charlottesville, Virginia, right away found out this isn't it. And but I couldn't get out of there right away. So it took me 4 years to get out of there, and I said, I'm going to choose to go someplace different now. And I went to Chicago, a place I'd spent a lot of time going out to growing up. It's not far from Toledo, and I just love Chicago, still do. I have a different relationship with it now, but that didn't, my answers weren't there. I wasn't all of a sudden happy. It didn't fix everything. And I said, okay, I'm gonna give another place a shot. And I had some friends down in Houston that said, why don't you come down to Texas and, you'll like it. You're, no state income taxes and so much more sunshine. And they weren't kidding. Sunshine does wonders for your mood. It's easier to be happy. You're still getting in your way. And that's what I was doing. And it took probably into 2 years of me living in Houston, 10 years away from Toledo, to realize that my problem was never with Toledo. I didn't need to leave here. I think I did, but Toledo wasn't what I was angry about. All of that came from me and unresolved issues and the alcoholism that I used to mask that, and that progressively got worse through all the places I went. Everywhere I went, boom, my problem found me because I took it with me.
Yeah, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah, so it was May 9th of 2016, 10 years ago last Saturday, that I poured out the last bottle of vodka I'd ever pour out, and I never looked back, and that changed everything. But it was at that time where I needed something to do to get myself back out in public. I like being around people. I've always been, very gregarious and outgoing, and I just want to talk with people and experience things and take it in. So I started going to a car show that was down there. A lot of people have heard of Coffee and Cars.
Where? Sorry.
In Houston.
Okay.
So a lot of people have heard of Coffee and Cars. It's a car show that is in a lot of cities around the country and a monthly meet thing. Houston did it a little differently. They called theirs Coffee and Cars, Cars and Coffee. They were the opposite. It was the biggest one, and it was wild. I mean, as somebody who grew up with Lamborghini and Ferrari posters up on my walls, it was all right there. And we're talking, this was at a mall by my house, $30 million worth of cars in the front rows. And that's just all the exotics, the Bugattis, the Paganis, just the most amazing stuff you've ever seen. And then over in the side lots, there's all the Corvettes. There's 300 Corvettes over there, and then the Camaros are over there, and the Jeeps are over there. It was a giant thing, and it brought me back to kind of a car culture that I grew up and identified with. And I was taking cell phone photos at that, and that's where it was born. I really started to get a thing for it, and I started posting photos on the website called Imager. It's a photo sharing site, and on Reddit down there in the Houston subreddit. And people liked them, and they kind of took off, and I kind of kept going with that in my free time. And my mom and sister saw that, and about the same time that the ABC news station down there saw that. And the ABC station reached out to me and said they're 13 ABC, and we've got ABC 13 here, so it's just the opposite. But they said, hey, we saw your photos you've been putting on Reddit. Any chance we could put those on our website? Super flattered. I said, yeah. If you look up Doug Hinebaugh, Houston, Cars, ABC, whatever, you'll find those articles are still up to this day with my galleries in there.
Very cool.
My mom and sister saw that and said, you know what, that camera that's on his Amazon wish list, maybe we should get that for him for Christmas. And Christmas of 2017, they bought that for me. So it was 9 years, it hasn't even been that long since I got my first digital camera, and screwed around for a couple of years. After the quitting drinking worked, and I started dreaming again. I started thinking about doing more, about doing something different. And the printing world I'd been in for 25 years had gotten me nowhere. And I said, I want to do something different, start fresh. And the best place for me to do that was probably going to be back where I started. I wasn't angry at Toledo again. I was ready to give it a second chance, and hoped it would give me one too. And I came back here, and the camera came with me as just a hobby. And I said to myself, when I got back here, I'm going to take this printing job at Metzger's, and this is going to be the last printing job I ever have. And April 3rd of 2020, the day after my birthday, thanks to COVID, I got laid off, and I've never gone back to printing. And it was May 15th, 2021 that I started off on a full-time freelance photography career, and it's been 5 solid years now that I've been doing that. That all was born out of COVID, and that was all born out of me. I was not going to sit around. I wasn't going to be inside my house and waiting for somebody to tell me when it was okay to jump. I had the metro parks to myself. I had downtown to myself, and I had that camera that had just been a hobby. And I said, I want more. And I spent that year that I didn't have to work, the rest of that year, out taking over everything and learning how to become a photographer, thanks to YouTube, thanks to Reddit, thanks to people I met on Instagram locally that really helped me out. And, I started going to photography talks and started learning a little bit about it and finding a community. And that just kept fueling it. And like I said, that idea that this could be a job, that it now is and has been for years, that there was a point where I had to ask some people, and then eventually ask myself, like, is this what you really want? Because it's right there. Like, do you want this? Grab it. And I had some people that, John Ikest over at Toledo.com, Matt Killam over at Toledo Metro Parks, Anastasia Ortiz, who's helping out with the River Gallery project now, but she used to be over at Maumee Valley Habitat for Humanity. But there's a few of those people that I remember back then that said, Doug, you've got it. And I remember when I said, well, I have to raise my prices a whole lot. And they said, we'll still pay it because we believe in you. And I had enough of them say that I said, I can walk away from this. If I just get what they just committed to me on, I think I can make more than I was making printing. And that's good enough for me. And it worked. And that fueled everything. And it has been a snowball effect ever since then. And, being a good person, showing up, a lot of the things that I learned in my life as an hourly worker, that, you got to be on time. You have to be accountable. If you're there on the clock, you should be working. Those are things that I carried over into my photography career because I didn't know any differently, and they've served me well because people like to work with me and they keep coming back and they tell their friends about it, and I get to do something that at a time I was scared to even dream. Could this be real? It is real, and it's everything.
Took a lot of showing up. Right? And then to go back to what you said earlier.
I tell my girlfriend Kristen, who I love so dearly, I tell her all the time, like, I speak in cliches a lot because cliches, they're just time tested. There's a reason people for hundreds of years have been saying the same thing over and over again, because it's a proven lesson, and they're trying to save you from having to learn it yourself the hard way. And you could blow it off and say, oh my God, everybody says the same thing. It's not big brain. Maybe there's something to that. So I speak in cliches. And those are things I listen for now. When those used to be, Charlie Brown's mom talking, and I tuned it out. Now I'm kind of, you see that one again?
So let's go back then to your work with like social services and everything else like that. Where does that come from? Why do you care?
That gets back to Houston and the tail end of my alcoholism. And I had two reasons why I quit drinking. One is my dog. I basically had alienated myself from everybody. I didn't realize at the time that I'd moved 1,000 miles away from everything I knew, so I didn't have to face myself. And when I couldn't run anymore, I had a dog that I was being a terrible dog dad to, and she needed better. And then I found out back up in Toledo that my own dad, who had once owned a business and built a house and a family and a life and, was looked upon well in the Perrysburg community, he was living in the Cherry Street Mission.
Wow.
So those two things together, it was the writing on the wall. I had to. That was me in 26 years, if I even lived that long.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't do it anymore. And I remember the day, May 8th, and I think it was a Sunday. I went up to some old friend's house, that the ones that we actually got Elsa from. My friends had gotten her for their daughter, decided they weren't going to keep her. I kept the dog. And then, because they had a falling out, nobody talked for a couple years. I said, okay, well, I'll go hang out with them and I can be friends with them independently. And it turned into a thing where it was all they wanted to do was buy my dog back. And we went out to a restaurant and I got really drunk, and I was so uncomfortable, and I didn't know, I should have just left, but I didn't, because again, I didn't have any friends. I was trying to find something, and I got sloshed, and I ended up absolutely not. I was not going to sell them back. I wasn't going to let them breed. I was going to make an appointment to go get her spayed right then, because no, and nobody's taking away the only friend that I have that loves me unconditionally. And I drove home really drunk that night, and it was bad. And I didn't crash, there were no incidents or anything, but that was it for me. And I woke up that next morning, it was like a switch had gone off, and I never felt that way in my life. And I knew right in that moment I would never drink again. And I haven't had a single drop. Like I have people at a bar, if somebody brings a bunch of drinks, I'll have my girlfriend take a sip of mine. Now I can't even have her do it sometimes because she doesn't drink anymore, but I don't think one sip would screw me up, but I don't want to start counting again.
Yeah.
But I had to do it, and I did it. And I promised my dog a whole lot of things, and that we'd get a family again, and we'd get to a place where, we've got things to do and people that love us. And, I figured I'm going to, maybe share with my dad what I'd learned, and maybe, he could get his shit together. And, so I did it. And I'm so proud of myself. That changed everything. You and I wouldn't be sitting here talking. Brian over there would never have met me. Mm-hmm. Like I might be dead right now. I would have ended up leading a completely unremarkable life. Nobody would have ever, I would have never made a splash. I would have never left my mark. I would have never done anything positive. I would have just taken from this world and never once given it my true self. And giving up alcohol gave me the ability to do that. And I find the more that I give, the more that I get. Again, another cliche. Funny how that works out, right? But yeah, my dad being in a homeless shelter, what to answer your question, my dad eventually did get out of that situation, and one thing that stuck with me is his complete lack of gratitude. It bothered me that he never really absorbed that he was homeless, that he was one of I think he thought he was just somebody who, I'm not really one of you. I'm just kind of here. I'm just staying here for a couple weeks, No, dude, you were homeless. You were at the bottom and you didn't learn a damn thing. And so that's where I reached out. I originally started when I moved back to Toledo, volunteering for the Cherry Street Mission. And I guess I kind of felt that I sort of needed to pay back his debt because he wasn't going to. And I felt that was owed to those people that did that for him. And so that's how that all turned into that. I did that for Cherry Street Mission a couple of years. I shot their charity golf tournament, did that for them for free. And, it was my friend Erica Michaelis, I had met her, and she said, well, hey, I'm the head of Toledo Streets newspaper. She was the executive director of that. And she said, I'd love if you'd come and sit at one of our editorial committee meetings. And so I kind of transferred the Cherry Street Mission thing over to Toledo Streets. And then that's the one I've kind of stuck with. That's the one that really resonates with me because you see a lot of people as you make your way through Toledo or most places, standing out on a corner with a vest on and, asking for money for one reason or another. And we've all heard the stories, and a lot of them are true, that there's, a lot of those people they're not out there doing it to get a hand up. They're doing it to just keep on rolling through their addiction, through their avoidance of responsibility or being a productive member of society. I have limited time, and I'm very, very honored to be able to donate that and volunteer a lot, but it has to go to something that's gonna matter. And those people that come out to sell those newspapers, they're there because they want to do work. They're not just out there, they want to own their own little micro business. They want to be responsible for something, and it's a means to an end. It's not something that they're just wasting your time. They're just taking your $2 that you thought was going to go to a sandwich and go and buying a beer with it. They are using it to, after a couple months of that, I've seen these people save up enough money to put a down payment on a car or to have a security deposit for an apartment. And selling these newspapers, when people hand them $1, I give $5 2 times a month to them. And a lot of times I don't even take the paper because I get them for free because I help write them. Right. But I've seen it happen, and that's enough. It's not enough for them to carry themselves on, but it's enough to get them over that edge. And a lot of us are one paycheck away from being homeless. You hear that? Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people one paycheck away from getting off of being homeless. That's what Toledo Streets provides them, and I'm super happy to lend my time and talent to them. And I love when I see them on the street and I can actually buy a paper and good content in there, dude. So thank you for helping make that happen, man. Yeah, well, that's the least I can do. And they were so kind to make a Doug issue last year, if you remember. We got to talk about that, Doug. That's still the best-selling issue. They have vendors, I see them, and they're like, have them do another one. We made more money off that than any issue ever. And I'm like, let's do it. Well, my issue is, you remember the picture we took? Yeah. If you Google my name, guess what first image comes up? That's called SEO acumen. We'll let the folks at home Google that one. I'm not going to bring any more up on that. Oh, my goodness. That is one of my favorite pictures that you took of me. Thank you. Well, cool. I appreciate it. And thanks for asking about that and giving me a chance to talk about that. That's something that's really dear to my heart. And, all of this stuff that's been made possible for me, it's a gift from God. The second chance that I've gotten, I'm grateful for it. I'm openly grateful. I speak about it and I remind other people, look around with gratitude, because none of this is given to us, and don't take it for granted, because tomorrow could be your last day. And, appreciate what we've got. And it took me all of that leaving Toledo to boomerang back to appreciate it, but I do. You don't know what you've got till it's gone, Doug. Cliche. So you're doing a phenomenal job of helping to document how cool Toledo is and how cool the people in Toledo are doing stuff, right? So let's talk a little bit about the photography.
how do you make a good photo? Like when you're taking these pictures, like how are you helping to tell the story? What's going through your head when you're making these pictures?
Well, let's look at it from the context of a Toledo.com album, for example. So those are the things that I do that most people could probably relate to. So most of my work is with nonprofits and things like that. The Metro Parks Habitat for Humanity, the Ability Center, and a lot of that stuff goes and stays internally or will be used for their website. So it's shown to a limited number of people. Toledo.com hits a lot of people. So they could probably understand this more if I put it in that context. But so I will be tasked with, hey, go get photos from, I've got the Old West End Festival coming up. So every year we try to put together an album from the Old West End Festival. I am asked to go out for an hour, maybe two, and get 50 to 80 photos to end up on the website, and then we put on Facebook that kind of tell the story of the event. For something like the Old West End Festival, I used to live in the Old West End. I know those people, they're my friends. A lot of them are, close enough to be family, and I appreciate what they do. They put a lot of effort into that. They bust their butts to make that one of the best parties in Northwest Ohio all year long, and there's a lot of tradition involved with it, so I want to do it justice. So there's no way I'm just putting an hour or two into that. So I always end up spending 4 or 5, 6 hours out there over multiple days. I love getting out there on Friday nights to get the Detroit Party Marching Band in it. So I will spend time at that. I will walk around the whole festival multiple times. I'll probably put 10,000 steps on before noon each day and, finish up with 20 plus. And that's, I go to different houses. I go to, little food trucks down there. I go over by the museum and their artist village over there. I go to some of the house parties. Sometimes people invite me in for the tours of their houses, whether they're the private tours. I try to experience the festival and do my job to take as good of pictures as I can to kind of tell that story. So when you look at a lot of my albums, the first photo you might see will be the front gate of an event, or it might be the parking lot, like of the German American Festival, because that's literally, where else does everybody else start? I invite people to take a walk with me through that event and see it the way that I see it. And if I do my job in those 80 photos, they'll be able to know what to expect if they were to take themselves or their partner or their family to that event, and have a pretty good idea what's going to be there because I showed everything in 80 photos.
So you're taking them on an experience.
Yeah.
You're not just thinking one photo, you're thinking...
No, I mean, the photo part is only a part of it. That's what everybody gets to see, but I have to experience this. If I'm not having fun, I don't really I think I take my best pictures when I'm in it, when I'm enthusiastic about it, when I'm having fun and have a rapport with the other guests. When there's people, there's nothing, now I'm open and honest, but there's nothing I can't stand more than when I've got a group of 7 people in front of me that are smiling and ready for a photo, and one person be like, I don't want to be in this. And you jerk, move, get out, go. Don't ruin it for everybody else. So, things like that. So those are the little things those are the trouble that I have at my day at work when I go home and talk that, oh, this person did that. And, a lot of times I'll crop them out, or I'll just delete the picture. And if their friends are like, oh, we didn't see that picture in the album, I'll say, hey, I'm really sorry about it. It would have been a great picture if your one friend wasn't being a jerk. And as time's gone on, I think it's kind of known, but people are pretty nice. People come up to me. People, I don't have to go out searching people or beg a group of people and drag that one person in so much anymore because of the relationship that I built with the community. And people know that for the most part, I'm up to good. I want to make them look good. I want to make us look good. Like, you can trust me stepping in front of my lens.
Yeah, that's important. That's super important. And
that's at work.
I was just going to say that you don't get to that point unless you're
showing up.
Yeah. Thank you for showing up today, dude. This is good, man.
Absolutely.
We just freaking started going.
Well, recurring themes are great when you're doing something like this because, we're trying to make a point here. So so the people at home feel like they got something out of it.
100%.
Yeah.
So on that note, what's something about Dougie Fresh that people don't know?
I've never been married. I don't have kids. Because of kind of the strange path that I took to get to where I'm at. I didn't lead the traditional life that a lot of people who thought, oh, he went to Perrysburg High School and came from a nuclear family. And, I don't think I'm what a lot of people expect. Even if they talk to me, they're kind of, oh, and you married with kids? And no, I'm not. And my story is not very traditional. And it's something that for a lot of years I was kind of embarrassed about. I thought, because I had those same expectations of myself because of and how I was raised. And, I kind of thought, oh, you're supposed to, be meeting the person that you're going to marry and be doing that by the time you're 25 and buy a house and then start having kids before you're 30. And you don't want to be that 60-year-old at your kid's high school graduation. So you got to do it early. And as I missed all of those milestones and watched all of my friends do all of that stuff, it was really tough for me thinking like, damn, this is the only life I get. And I screwed all this up. Like I'm that guy, that was a bummer. And I didn't realize how, like I said, I learned a lot about myself after quitting drinking, because in the moment I wasn't a good mate. And the type of person that I was going to attract probably isn't somebody that I would want to be with right now. So this all had to happen. And if you look at me on paper, you might say, oh, traditional upbringing and this and that, I would expect this out of Doug. I think a lot of people are surprised to find out that, I've been a single person, I've got a partner I've been with now for 3 years, and it'll happen. We'll get married one of these days.
Oh, are we breaking news here? Or does she know?
She already knows this will happen. So the when, that's still the wild card I hold, but we're good. We're solid. I love her to death. And she really helps balance me out. And it's nice to have that to come home to. And, I think I accept happily that I don't have that traditional life. What I've got is cool. It's unique, and it was necessary to make the me that I am now, which I've never loved more than I do.
Man, Doug, phenomenal freaking guest here.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. I think that's the thing, right? People like sharing with you because of how much you share.
I tell this to Kristen all the time, because she wants to try new things, and, it's scary and a lot of times, but this is what we build our networks for. This is what we have friends for. And sometimes you have to ask for help and you have to put yourself out there. And I tell her all the time, if you want something from somebody else, you have to give something, and you go first.
Yeah. Great advice. Photography. Let's stick with advice around photography. All right, I'm a new photographer hanging out.
Seeing how photography is life, and life is, you keep trying to spin off to that, and then we keep ending up back talking about life. And that's what this is to me, because it's become a part of who I do. It's become an extension of who I am and an expression of the way that I see the world. So I think I do have a gift with words, and, especially in a written way, but I think my ability to see the world and kind of be a reflection, I'm kind of a mirror, and people say, I love your photography so much. And I say, I love you guys caring about this city or about this event or about this organization, because your enthusiasm is what makes my photos great. Not my camera, but my ability to see that and to reflect the positivity that I see out there. And I think positivity is contagious. And I think with photos can do a lot of things. They can make people sad. They can make people angry. They can ruin careers and marriages. They can prove that they can make a hero. They're powerful things. And I want mine to show the reality of my existence. And my existence is a lot of positivity and a lot of collaboration. And that's what people see, because that's where I put myself, and I'm just showing them the world that we all share.
So you don't want to talk about photography?
What's the difference, man?
I love it, dude. So we've hit a Zen moment. I love it.
Yeah.
So I want to experience Toledo like you experienced Toledo, or similarly, right? I'm a new photographer. I want to make my way in Toledo or any city, right? Well, let's stick with Toledo because we're here. Where are the places that as a photographer, I'm going to go to find out who I am?
Well, I think events are kind of a great way to go. because so many of them are open to the public, that they're okay with people bringing, their cameras out and taking photographs. And I think in America, it's pretty understood that there's no reasonable expectation of privacy when you're out in public and stuff. So those are all the ingredients you kind of need to get photos of life as it's happening. I still recommend to people what I did when I first moved back to Toledo. I'd been gone for 12 years. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's the cool thing, this or that. I Googled things to do today in Toledo, Ohio. The first thing that popped up was the Toledo.com events calendar. And I bookmarked that. It's still bookmarked. I work for them, and I still use it all the time because it's a great place to go for any day of the week to look it up and see everything that's going on. There's also a section on Toledo.com for press releases. So these are things that you can find out about that are going on, see what piques your interest, and show up. Mm-hmm. There's nobody stopping you. There's no reason you can't go. And that's where you start cutting your teeth. You start getting comfortable around people. You start learning, that dance that you do around people, that, to get them to trust you, to let them take your photo, to let them capture a moment of their soul and share it with, who are they going to share it with? You got to trust them. And that's a good way to build it. The press conference thing, if you want to, be around professional photography, you have to do a lot of business photography, a lot of serious situations, where you're going to have to be around people. You're going to have to see how the media operates. So show up to a press conference. They're open. Mm-hmm. If the mayor is going to do a ribbon cutting for a new building or something like that, it's going to be put out there in public, and you're allowed to go there. Be kind. Step back the first few of them and watch what other people are doing. But you're allowed to be there. You're allowed to take photos. Start trying to emulate what you see. And over time, you'll find your own style. And I think those are the best ways to do it, is to kind of just throw yourself out there in places where it's not going to be odd that you're out there taking photos, and try to get yourself up to the speed of an event. Mm-hmm. And then you'll learn a lot about photography in that time. In Toledo, I also recommend too, the people join up on the Toledo Creatives Facebook page. Back during COVID, there was a group that started called the Toledo Creatives, and a lot of my good friends to this day are people that I met in that, and we are still all hanging out together. It's not an official group anymore, but that Facebook page is where a lot of people get together to trade off jobs, to trade off advice, to have conversations about life, about photography, about videography, about modeling, about a whole bunch of different things that are all in this world that I find myself lucky enough to move in. People sell equipment on there, buy equipment. It's a good little hub for people to kind of start learning about the community. And I think in 2026, the internet and your local community are the best ways that you're going to learn. And that's how you're going to skip a lot of steps. You can do a lot of stuff by yourself, but find some friends, team up, and do what we're doing right here. Create something beautiful.
Oh, Dougie Fresh, dude. Love hanging out with you.
Ditto.
The photography has obviously taken you all over the country.
I could never imagine.
Yeah, because you're doing stuff all over, but you're also doing something down the road at the Toledo School for the Arts, correct?
Yeah, I am so blessed to get my first gallery exhibition ever. I have put pieces up before. Chili and Contron's gallery they used to have with Luke Stokely, the River East Gallery. I got to put a piece up in one of their shows before, and that was a big honor for me, but I'd never been given my own show. And Toledo School for the Arts, Max over there at the Portal Gallery reached out to me, and they said, hey, would you like to do this with us? And I said, absolutely. So I decided to make it a collaborative affair. Dean Davis, who is known for the River Gallery mural project and the Glass City Riverwalk, he helped me print out my photos, print out wall graphics of designs that Graphite Design and Build. They're kind of Toledo's Imagineers. They make the coolest stuff, man.
Insane.
Have you been to the Natural History Museum over at the zoo? Like the woolly mammoth and all of the frogs and all, they make stuff like that. It's just cool. But they also made the Beacon Tower over at the Ribbon at the Glass City Metro Park where the skating is, that big tall stained glass tower. I've been in love with that thing since the moment I saw the sketches for that thing. I'm friends with them, so and then watching that come to life, and then it's been in so many of my photos that I've done for the Metro Parks or for myself down there, and it's amazing. But there's a couple big pillars down at the gallery that I had the idea of, what if we wrap the pillars with the art to kind of make it look like the pillars? So Dean helped me do that. My friend Corey Shearer, he goes by Bent Custom Neon. That's the name of his company, and how you can find him on social media. He is I don't know if he's world renowned yet, but he's definitely all across the country. Just a huge neon artist. He's been trying to get me for a couple of years to add some neon to some prints, and I was like, kind of good idea, but what's that going to cost me? I don't know. I just kind of came up with a reason to kind of put it off. And this show came up, and I wanted to do something different. And he was like, hey, you want to do the neon? And I said, Corey, let's do it this time. So I got a bunch of large metal prints printed out that he added neon accents to. And it's just spectacular. And it all comes together to be One City, Many Moments, the name of my exhibition. It's there through the whole month of May at the Portal Gallery. The gallery is open on most days from 12 to 6 for normal hours. There are special events peppered through. We're already through a couple of the ones that I would be telling people about, but we do have a big one coming up on Friday, May 29th. That's going to be my own personal artist reception. That's going to be at the Portal Gallery from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Again, Friday, May 29th. That's open to everybody. That's free. You can come check out my work. We're doing something different for my first gallery show. I've had a bunch of people say, wait, you can do that? Of course I can do it. It's my show. So if it says sold on it, it doesn't matter. If you want it, if you buy it during this month, you'll get it for that price. I'll print off more of them. I have a line on those exact same frames. So if you want that one, they're not expensive. $100 for 16 by 20s with a nice glass fronted frame, $200 for 20 by 30s. Same thing, the neon ones are $450. This is all very accessible. Nobody likes going to an art show, wanting to support the artist, liking what they see on the walls and not being able to afford any of it. So I wanted to make sure for at least one of these, we're gonna make it accessible to everybody. And so come on out, you don't have to buy a thing. I would really just love to see everybody there and, show me the, love for this. I show Toledo all the time, and that's what you'll see on the walls in there. It's my ode to Toledo and Northwest Ohio, the things that I find beautiful and that have kind of gotten people to call me the conversational photographer. I give people something to talk about, and it's on the walls at the Portal right now.
Very cool. Looking forward to getting over there on the 29th for sure, sure.
Well, there's also another thing happening that night. So we've got Techledo coming up, and that is the electronic music festival, the free electronic music festival. It'll be at the Glass City Metro Park on June 13th. We're a part of Watershed Weekend, which is the Metro Park's big weekend to commemorate the 50% completion point for the Glass City Riverwalk. So we are going to have Dennis Cox, who's the founder of Techledo, and he's going to DJ at my reception from 6 to 9 p.m. And then after that, on the 29th, we're going to go over to Toledo Spirits, where we're going to have a reception after party, Techledo pre-party. That'll be our official Techledo pre-party. My friend Jordan Swartz will be throwing that. So come on over to Toledo Spirits. We'll be out in the street. There'll be food trucks. There'll be drinks. There's going to be DJs. We'll be going till 1 a.m. It'll be a fun time. There'll be opportunities to support Techledo. Sign up for last-minute volunteers. It's a big deal, and in the spirit of collaboration, I'm going to get a big platform with this artist reception on May 29th. So I want to use that because this is supporting art. One of the big things about Techledo, although it is a free electronic music festival, we do solicit sponsorships and donations because we're trying to raise money, not just to cover our overhead. That's great to throw a cool party, but it's a donation event. Last year, we were able to raise over our overhead $5,000 that we were able to donate to Good Natured, which is the Metro Parks Women's Group. This year, Dean Davis's River Gallery Mural Project is going to be our donor recipient. So we would like to be able to give him $5,000. We'd love to be able to give him $10,000. What that's going to take is that's going to take our people. If we have to $5 and $10 our way all the way there, we'll do that. But if people like what we're doing, if they like having a free electronic music festival, if they like a festival and a nonprofit that is around it that are there to support arts in Toledo, if you want to see more of Dean Davis's murals, this is how you do it. So support us, volunteer, sign up to be a vendor, throw some money our way. We'll be happy to find a way to give it back some reciprocity so that you get some value out of getting behind us. So Toledo Metro Parks believe in us. They've put their sponsor on us. The Hiltons believe in us. Taylor Automotive believes in us. And this goes on and on, the amount of sponsors and, small people that it takes a community that are all saying, hey, we've got a little something because we believe in you and we want to see this grow and we want to see this be around. And it's neat for us to have something like that. So we're taking good care of it and we want to see it be something special.
I was there last year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you. And it was a phenomenal time.
Wasn't it cool?
It was super dope, right? Because we were there during the day at the Ribbon, and then the after party for that was a Toledo Spirits as well, correct? Okay.
We're allowed to go a little later this year, and we don't really see the need to. By the time everybody leaves and gets out of the parking lot and gets to an after party, they'd only have an hour anyway. So we'll just.
Gonna be later at the Metro Park.
Yes, so they're letting us go to 11 this year, so we're going to get to take advantage of more of the darkness. We have Bird's Eye View Circus coming out, so we're going to have glow performers.
Oh, very cool.
They are putting together some never before seen acts. They love Techledo. Everybody loves the concept of what we're doing. It's neat. They got to see enough last year. If you go to our social media pages, Techledo, or if you go to www.techledolive.live, you'll be able to see all of our photos from last year. I mean, we had a rocking good time and we've got even more stuff planned for this year. 3 stages instead of 2. Last year we had 12 DJs. This year we've got 16. We've got a big headliner this year, DJ Heather. She's coming from Chicago. People have seen her at some of the biggest festivals in the country, and we're so stoked to have her. Detroit Techno Militia's coming down from Detroit. They'll be playing at Movement this weekend up in Detroit. So these are big names that are coming, and it's free.
In the crowd, it was there's a great mix of people.
And you could feel it. There was that vibe. You know what I'm talking about. And the people that were there, they know what we're talking about. It was cool.
And it's one of the only places you'll see Mike Vanderpool actually dance. When it gets dark, I start dancing.
But that was great though. Nobody's judging anybody there. I mean, it's just, the music is what started all of this. That's, when we talked about that at the beginning of this interview, I said I used to be a rave kid because there was a time where there was a scene like that here in Toledo where there were multiple clubs that you could go out to on the same night that would be having DJs spinning. And that was part of our culture. And unfortunately, that kind of died off along the way. I take a little personal responsibility that I left instead of staying here to carry the standard, but I'm back and I'm doing what I can. We're hopefully inspiring other events. The folks just did the Adams Street Dance Festival a couple weekends ago, and those were our friends, and they were out to support Techledo last year. We were out to support their festival this year. We're going to see if maybe we can get involved next year and start giving this, make it reciprocal so it goes back and forth, and see if we can grow a scene again. I mean, Toledo deserves this, and there are people, that have proven it by showing up to these events, and it keeps growing that there is an appetite for this music and for this type of scene, but we're going to do it a little better than last time, a little more responsibly, a little more grown up, and a lot more on the plur aspect of things.
Plur, what was that again?
Peace, love, unity, and respect.
There we go.
Yeah, that was the old unofficial rule of raves.
The fascinating thing here, the inspiring thing here is that you're showing people, we're all showing people, I think, you can make stuff happen in Toledo. Again, show up, help people who are already doing things to figure out who you need to know and what you got to do to do things.
It's harder. It's easy to sit around and say, what's going on this weekend? Oh, nobody's doing anything. Nobody's putting anything on. So it's a lot harder to be the ones that have to put it on. But, it's worth it when you got something and you can do it right. And, we've, between the 4 of us, me, my girlfriend Kristen, and then Dennis and Darlene Cox, we're a formidable team. We have a wonderful network. We have a lot of people that we've made friends with over all of these years that are stepping up to help out, and that's just our contribution to this. If more people would group up with your friends, and I'm not saying they'll have to create a nonprofit, but, do a car show down at your, the park by your house or something like that. Or maybe you join up and as a group, they say 10 of you in your neighborhood or your friends or something want to do something as adults. Hey, we're going to go volunteer at barefoot at the beach or something like that. These are fun events, and you get out, you network, and just by showing up, the rewards that come from that by, meeting new people, getting involved, other opportunities, will be swirling around you. And that's, I know I'm a little biased because I surround myself by people who are making things happen and who are tapped into that world. But for a lot of those people that they don't know how to really get started, they hear, oh my gosh, there's so much going on in Toledo, but I don't see that. I don't personally get to do that. Where do I even find it? Sign up to volunteer, sign up to go do something. Just go do it once. One of these cool events that you hear about that you see on the news and you're like, wow, I'd like to go to that, but I don't know if I want to spend that much money on a ticket. I don't know that much about it. Go volunteer 1 year at it. It's easy. You probably get a t-shirt, you'll get fed, you get to have a fun time, you get to see what the event's about, and you'll find out if it's more for you. Maybe you keep volunteering. Maybe next year you'll say, you know what, I want to contribute so I can put on one of those nice dresses and he can wear a nice tux and we're going to go out to that party ourselves and, light up the town. Why not? It's all here, but somebody's doing that. Each one of these events, there are real people behind those that are organizing it, that are fundraising for it, that are volunteering for it, that are making it happen. All of these good, fun things that are happening didn't happen in a vacuum. And you can do it too.
Cool people doing cool things.
Yep.
So I have one last question for you, but I want to give you opportunity. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, we should bring up?
No, I think we're doing great. I implore everybody to come out to Watershed Weekend. The Metro Parks are really organizing a lot around that. What Cheryl Hardy's got going on with the Party in the Park thing. That whole weekend is going to be really special. There's going to be new art that's going to be dedicated. There's going to be new portions of the boardwalk dedicated. And I really want people to stop and think for a second that, back in 2020, and we voted for this. This is what Lucas County, 2/3 of Lucas County, plus a few said, we want to spend the money on this Glass City Riverwalk. I want people to come out and see this. I've been taking photos of this for 5-6 years now. My photos are kind of the face of the Glass City Riverwalk. And that's a big deal to me. Like, Toledo my parents did not leave a better Toledo for me. My grandparents did not leave a better Toledo for my parents. I am going to leave a better Toledo for the next people. And this is what we voted on. This is what they're building. It's right there. It's real. And we're 50% of the way. People need to come out and see that. They need to experience that. And they need to start making a new relationship with downtown. This isn't the downtown from 20 years ago. There's nothing to be scared of. I want people to come out and experience this, to see this, to know that the effort has been made, that their money has been well spent. And that there's a future for Toledo. Stay here, do your part, get involved, join up, volunteer. It's gonna take all of us, but we are really turning a corner. There was a time I left Toledo because I didn't think we were ever gonna go anywhere. I came back because I saw what people before me were starting to build, and I'm here to help keep that going. We need everybody else, so that's what I wanna finish on. Get involved, be a part of this vibrant Toledo that's growing right before your eyes, and don't let it pass you by.
Dang, dude, I don't even want to ask my question now, but I'm going to.
Okay.
You're bringing somebody from out of town in. You got 1 day with them. You're going to take them to breakfast, lunch, and dinner and go show them one thing. Where are you going?
We're going to start with breakfast. I would say over at the Parkway Plaza, Sunrise Skillet. That's one of my favorite restaurants in Toledo. And you'll see a whole bunch of my photos up on the wall. They've got a great breakfast, brunch, whatever you want. And you get to support me by being in there. So after that, I'd say go walk around the zoo. You really can't beat it. I mean, donuts to dollars, it is a great value. I've been all over the country and our zoo matches up. It's a great way to spend a morning. For lunch, I would head downtown and go to Dirty Bird. I think they've got the best BLT in town. If you're looking for something a little more exotic, Kengo's got a whole bunch of cool restaurants right along a stretch. You can get sushi, you can get ramen, and then there's the new Papa K's fried chicken place that is just to die for. Those things are great. For the afternoon, if you're here during the summer, check out a Mud Hens game. That is true Toledo. We were one of the first smaller cities to have a downtown ballpark of that nature, and people have copied us for that. But that is, you will get the whole warehouse experience in CR downtown and get to see something that Toledo's been proud of for over 100 years, our Toledo Mud Hens. And then for dinner, that's always a tough one. There's so many good places.
That's a hard question.
Yeah. I think Maumee Bay Brewing is a great place to go. It's such a cool building. There's a lot of history there. Good people have always run that place. It's kind of a neat place to go walk around. Middle Grounds Metro Park is right there underneath the high-level bridge, or the Glass City Riverwalk the other way. So you can't really go wrong, and you're going to stay downtown and in the warehouse district the whole time, except for going to the zoo. But the zoo and the breakfast restaurant, Sunrise Skillet, are both over there. But if you did that, you could stay within a 10-mile radius and do a whole bunch of different stuff and have the very best of Toledo. Straight out of Doug's mouth.
Word. Dougie Fresh, dude, thank you for making Toledo look good.
Oh man, it's easy, and Toledo is looking better all the time. Like I said, I'm just turning the mirror on it and showing everybody what they're building.
All right, love it. We'll end it there.
Cool.
Dougie Fresh, thank you, my man. Appreciate everything that you're doing. Folks, thank you for checking out the Make It Happen podcast. Cool people doing cool things. Just be good to each other. Plur.
Later. Thank you.